Part 2. This is a specialized socket for removing lug nuts, and this one is standard size, which I believe is, one is 3/4 and one is, I think, 11/16. I can't tell because I use this one the most and they're all rubbed off from rubbing inside the rim. This goes on my impact gun, and it's specialized. It's double-ended. There's one size on this end and one size on this end, and you can take your adapter and plug it in, you know, to either end, and that way you don't have to keep track of as many sockets when you're doing when you're changing tires. But I was, you know, just messing with it, and I took it and I looked through it, and I will tell you what, when I look through the socket, I can see there's an effect. I don't remember what the effect is. Telescopic effect, something. Some effect. The exact terminology escapes me, but I can see. Not perfectly, but I can see much better than if I don't have this on my eye. And the first thing I thought is, holy shit, I'm gonna get a pair of safety glasses and glue these to them. I just don't have peripheral vision when I do that, but I can see. And when I hold it up to my right eye, the double vision is almost gone. The scar that crosses my eye is almost imperceptible. There's like this faint haze in the upper right corner when I look through the socket. But not fractal effect, telescopic effect, something. My folks and I were talking about it earlier today. So I am getting close, man. I am getting close to getting my eyes back. I'm trying to light a fire under my ass on that Jeep. I gotta try to do that showcase video. I'm gonna try to do that. I'm gonna try to do that tomorrow. If not tomorrow, this weekend, so that I can, you know, show it off and you know, explain what I got to do, and then, you know, share that out to Facebook and whatnot, and see if I can get some extra help on that Jeep to get that thing on the road, so that I've got more fuel-friendly transportation, because old Gracie here, she will drag my house off its foundation. And if there was a road, I could drive this truck to Mars and back. But I would have to be towing a 500-mile long train of tanker trucks for fuel, because she drinks the gas. 300 inline 6-cylinder, not ordinarily gas friendly anyway. They use a lot of gas for being an inline 6. You can tune them, and you know, if you've got everything right, you can get 18, 20. I think I've heard 22 miles to the gallon with one of these engines. But the problem is the gear set out back in the rear differential. It's got such a low gear set out back that that rear differential is meant for massive amounts of torque. Is meant for pulling extremely heavy loads. This truck was a farm truck before I bought it. Well, the guy I bought it from the farmer that had it pretty much its entire life. I think maybe there was one more owner before him, and he got it maybe back in the late 80s, and he used it as a farm truck. But he would drive all over with it too. It was his daily driver and his work truck on the farm. and he would haul, heavy ass trailers with it, hay bales. He worked this truck. And that's where that gear set that I've got out back is happy, is, low and slow. You get up to about 55 miles an hour and it's comfortable. That 55 miles an hour, like on a country road, 2-lane, 4-lane highway, going between towns, no stopping, starting, that's where she gets her best gas mileage, if you keep it at 55. And not a lot of roads run 55, much outside of towns anymore. Usually it's 60 or 65. It's 65 on US 1 outside of town. It's 65 on 207. When you get out on 207, where I'm at, it is 45, and then once you get outside of town, it kicks up to 55, and then it holds at 55 till you get to a very small community on Elkton that's 15, 16 minutes away. That's Elkton, and they have a post office. They have a veterinary, which is my vet, where I used to take my animals. They have an acupuncturist, and they got a really great restaurant called Jim's Place. Amazing burgers. And once you get on the other side of Elkton, it goes up to 65. Geography lesson aside. Once you get over 55, then she starts using more gas, and the speedometer in these trucks tops out at 85, and she will do it. I've had her up to 75 sustained, going up the interstate. When my ex was living in the condo on 16, which is on the other side of town, the fastest way to get there was to go up the interstate. And there's also a back way, but it takes longer. And I was going up there to drop Joey off to her. And they were doing road construction on the back way that I take, so I couldn't really go that way. I could get on US 1 and go, all the way through town and up and around, but that would take forever. So I jumped on 95, and the speed limit on 95 is 70. Most people are doing at least 90, but I got her up to 75, and we went like 7 or 8 miles at 75. No problems, none whatsoever. And then I actually drove her to Jacksonville on 95 a couple of times, take Joey to doctor's appointments up there, and not a problem. But you get up to that speed, you can watch that gas gauge going down. I would drive to Jacksonville on 95 doing 70, 75 with a full tank. I would have to get gas before I could come home. So this truck is an amazing work truck. The only way she could be better and a tougher work truck would be is if she was 4x4. And that is something that I want to do one day. That's my forte was always dent sides. That's the 73 to 79, with my absolute favorites being 73 to 77. But I got into these trucks. These are the bullnose era, and the bullnose era lasted from 80 to 86. And I got into these trucks because dent sides were getting harder and harder to find and get a hold of, getting much more expensive. When I got this truck, these weren't that bad. I think I paid $1,600 for this truck, and the reason I got into these trucks is I don't like these as much as the 70s era trucks. I prefer, you know, the look of the 70s era trucks. I prefer all of the aesthetics, but I like these too. But the reason I got into these is you can very easily convert these from two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive. It's basically plug and play. You just got to get all the four-wheel drive components from a donor truck. You know, you can get it out of the junkyard, and then you just take all the two-wheel drive shit out the front end and put your four-wheel drive components in. Transmission, you know, front axle, all that stuff. And then it can be a four-wheel drive. And one reason